Last week, we kicked off the new year with a New Year's episode talking about who we set our resolutions for. In the past, in our religious systems, in our societal systems, we've always based it on others' opinions, letting them tell us who we are instead of letting ourselves decide who we wanted to be. So this week, we're going on a woo-woo adventure to do exactly that by letting our spirits guide us into what may be coming forth in our lives. We're bringing back one of our favorite guests, once again, coming back to give us a reading. She's back again. Look who's back. Alicia's back. Tell a friend. Look who's back. Look who's back. Sorry. I'm on a tangent again in my lap. But Alicia will be doing some readings for us today. And just like back into our 90s lives that we used to live on for most of us listening, when we would watch Montel or Sally Jesse or who else would there have been? Oh, I can't.
Jerry Springer.
Well, Springer never did it. But Oprah, where they'd have their guests, their psychic mediums come on and their spiritualists come on. Well, we have our own spiritualists that we invite back periodically to keep us in touch with our guides, to see what we need to do to give us guidance into where we need to go. So today, we're bringing back Alicia, the Labradorite Queen, to tell us what we need to hear on Drop the Stones.
Hi, I'm Candy.
And I'm Dan.
And you're listening to Drop the Stones,
a weekly podcast brought to you by gems and stones of all sorts to help guide us and give us energy. Remember, a full moon's coming up once again. Put them outside and recharge them babies. Gems by Jerry Gemstone. Alicia, glad to have you back. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
It's been, Halloween when we had you on, where we did our mediumship. But before we get into that and some of the updates on how that went for us personally, how things been going with you since Halloween? I mean, nothing really major happened in that time frame.
It's been going great. I've been busy with life. Just did the holiday thing, that pretty much takes over everybody's season, temporarily until we get back to real life in January. So I'm kind of looking forward to the new year. The holidays are past. It felt like it came on so fast. I don't know about you guys, but the holidays were here in November and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. The year's almost over. So
yeah,
time flies.
Yes, it does.
Yes. Excuse me.
Yeah, right there.
Carry it for a second.
No, I just want to laugh at
you. Wrong pipe there on that drink. So, yeah, it's been a busy time. I think everyone can kind of associate with that. But it was kind of a good distraction, too, to get us away from the goings-on of the world that is around us at this time. So, and I think that's kind of a good thing, too, just to be able to not worry about the shit that we really don't have a huge effect on personally. But we let it affect us. But when we can get concentrating on the family we want to be around, the family we like having around, and can focus on that, I think it's a good reset for everything we need to do. So
a little recharge so you can face
life.
Face the things that are coming.
So true.
Yeah.
So, but back when we had you on last time, you did a full medium reading with us, and we had a few extra guests come on there, my gambling grannies and Candy's and mine, for that fact and matter, brother-in-law. So do you want to go into how that went, Candy?
Oh, yeah. It was really neat because I mentioned it to my niece, who I'm really close to, and this is her father. And she's open and likes to learn about different spiritual things. Her mom, was his wife, not as open to like that kind of stuff, but she listened to it and she was like, oh my God. She was like, there's no way she would have known this stuff. She was just so like excited and went and told her mom. Her mom's like, I don't want to listen to it. But it was just really neat because she was just amazed. We were amazed. There were so many things you said that it took a little bit afterwards that we were like, wow, like how did she even know that? And it just really strengthened, for me, I can only speak for myself, but my belief that you were really doing what you were saying you were doing. You know what I'm saying? Because we came in never having been read to that way. It was on my bucket list. And so you just really shocked us.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just some things that you just would not have known. And, it was encouraging too.
And the one thing that really struck me, and I don't know how many details you remember from it because it was a while ago.
Yeah, I'd have to.
But you were talking about, he was saying, it's okay, go ahead and date again.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
And we hadn't mentioned anything because the episode hadn't come out yet.
That's true, yeah.
We hadn't mentioned anything to our niece, to Candy's sister about it. And that came up in conversation.
Before my niece listened to it, I hadn't told her anything. I just said, you may want to listen to this episode. And she was like, okay. Before she even listened to it, we weren't even talking about the podcast. And she told me that her mom had talked about being open to like maybe dating again, and she was just kind of feeling out her daughter to see how she felt about it. Yeah. So that was like shocking because I didn't think she was even close at all. And then you said, he said, it's like, okay to kind of like move on, or not move on, but you know what I'm saying? Like to be open to possibilities of loving again. That was shocking. Yeah.
I think the one thing that always shocks me still once you get past as a developing medium, once you get past am I really doing this or am I nuts? Right? Yeah, who am I talking to? Mm-hmm. These types of things, when those types of validations come back from your readings, to hear the incredible timing that spirit brings forward to bring forward something that hasn't even happened yet. And then almost immediately happens. It's like those validations are so profound, and it solidifies, it just gives us so much more evidence to say, no, you're not nuts, Alicia. You're really,
Yeah. Yeah. So, will you make sure my microphone's working? Because it does say something on here. Yeah. Okay. I think it's really good to tell you so that strengthens your belief in yourself. Does that help when you hear other people tell you those things?
Here's the thing. I think, and we talk a lot about the validation aspect of a reading, right? Yeah. And that part of that validation can sometimes be contributed to what we say as ego. Okay. I don't necessarily need to understand or know if something is correct. And you get the message, right? And I think that, but at that same time, I am human. And as a developing medium and as I'm practicing, it is validating for me to understand that what I'm getting and receiving and giving is correct. It is something, right? Yeah. And I think that there is that piece of, it's a confidence piece. Yeah. And it does keep me moving forward.
So you'll keep going.
Do I need it? Yeah. Right, exactly. Do I need it every time? No. And there's some things where we'll do some exercises in development where they're like, all you need to do is say yes or no. Do you understand it? Yes or no? And I may never know how you understood it. Oh, okay. And that's okay sometimes too. Yeah. And sometimes people don't want to share. They're like, I know what you're talking about. And
do you ever have somebody who's like, no, the whole time. Like, but that would be they're not open. So they probably wouldn't be sitting there listening to you. Right?
Well, a couple of key pieces to that is it would be a miss for any medium or psychic to say that they never get no's. We're human.
Yeah,
we absolutely
exactly.
always
You're gonna get some
no
for sure.
Yeah, not everything hits, and it's just not going to.
Yes.
But many different factors can attribute to that. There are amazing mediums that you can book an appointment with and pay lots of money to have a reading with, and you can get in there and it's just not the right time of day. Their energy's off. The sitter's energy is off. The reader's energy is off. You're not flowing. Maybe you just aren't. It's just a vibe issue. Maybe something's happening in your personal life that's affecting, as a reader, something might be happening in my personal life that day where it's kind of affecting my energy and the flow of information. And so many different things can attribute to that. But generally speaking, if you sit down for a reading and something's just not hitting, and I even know some people have like a 3-no policy. So if I get 3 no's in a row, I'm going to refund you the reading and we can reschedule. It's just not it's not a good day, right? It's just not a good day. It's off. And that's human. It's not that they're a horrible medium or that they're wrong, or that's pretty normal. And we all have those days. But
it's an all-star baseball player that goes 0 for 4 on a day.
I mean, it is a skill. You're learning a skill. You're learning how to, and then you have to take into account your energy, where you're at, what situations you've been dealing with all day. And that's true. Yep.
And it can be the littlest thing. And I try to, if I have a booked appointment, I try to mention, I think I mentioned this in the last episode, where I'd let my family know I have a reading today or I have a reading tomorrow. I need everybody to be friendly. I need everybody. Don't tell me anything surprising today. Don't one off me. And then, okay. So don't start a fight with me. Don't anger me.
Does that work?
Telling everybody.
It depends. Are we talking about my kids or my husband?
Yeah, really.
Both.
Kids don't care. Okay, they're like, sorry,
whatever.
I'm asking for a
Mom,
friend.
we're fine. Just do your thing. Stay over there. Yeah.
Right.
So, but again, just to reiterate one thing from that reading that really kind of stuck out on that aspect of him coming through was on the Dayton thing. It was a complete 180, because I remember sitting there, I'm like, that's not not going to happen.
When you said like, he was like, it's okay to kind of like put the feelers out, or I can't remember how it was worded, but
it was like,
Dan was thinking absolutely not. I was like, I didn't know, but she was not.
Yeah.
As far as we knew, she was never again. So that was it was just a really.
Yeah.
It was something that was highly unlikely.
Yes. And then, and it shifted my mind about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, because I was convinced. I was like, this stuff's real.
Because I remember Candy was telling me, she goes, I was talking to our niece and she told me that her mom was looking. I go, what the fuck? Are you kidding? I'm like, no way. So,
and you know what's interesting about that, Dan, is that what seems to be so just a piece of information that I'm giving was that one piece was so impactful in your reading. And I, like, as a reader, we never know which piece of information that is for the sitter. So it's the irony that was the golden nugget for you, right?
Yeah.
And it can be we always say, give what you get, because it can be the most minuscule
you
piece
can think it's nothing.
A detail.
Yeah.
Right. And or you just might think you're crazy, and no, that was my brain, not them, right? So
Yes.
And then if you don't
some
give
of that
it,
with hypnotherapy a little bit. Yeah, where you just like, I don't know if I should say that, but they're like, just say it, and it does something, and you're just like, oh, okay.
But even out of a little tangent here, and then we'll get started on today. But I think that can be a lesson learned on even making posts on TikTok or YouTube or whatever of, you may be saying, so there's videos I've put out that are like, whatever, that was a piece of shit. And someone comes back and says, man, I needed to hear that today, or something like that. So it's kind of one of them same things. Just you're saying something that's going to register with somebody, and that's all we need to do is kind of help people see something clearer or help them through something they're going through or whatever like that. And that's kind of how I view the mediumship as, is just, all right, here you go. This is something to help you through and guide you through and whatever. So, yeah.
It can be very healing for some.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you have in store for us today?
Well, so today I
laugh.
I was thinking that, right, we can do a little bit. I'm going to get into both your and Candy's energy and kind of do a recap of your 2024 year, and also maybe dive into what's in store for 2025. A couple of pieces of information that just even the masses might want to just understand when you get a psychic tarot reading is that this is just energy. And if you don't like what you hear, that's okay. You have the ability to change your course at any point. And then sometimes when you get a reading, you might think, oh, I don't want to do that. That had not, keep that in your back pocket, right? Keep it in your back pocket, because you never know. It's just like a mediumship reading. You never know what's going to come up. Just as, the dating aspect for your sister-in-law piece hadn't come yet when I said it, but then it did come forward later. So a lot of times when we're reading energy, and then there may be some predictions in there, it just hasn't happened yet. But also, just because you hear that in a reading, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen either, because of that energetic shifting. So you may make a move 2 months from now that totally turns you off the course into a different timeline, right? And you're adjusting your own timeline in this way. And that's kind of, whenever a psychic predicts something for you, just keep that in mind, that you have the ability to change that course of action. And also, you may even subconsciously change that course. So some things may never come to fruition.
Okay.
And so, the disclaimers are important. You should never take what a psychic medium says as legal or health advice, and or just the end all be all.
Yeah.
Just because a psychic makes a prediction, again, it's energy, and energy fluctuates. So,
okay. I just want to recap that. Make sure I want to say it like how I would say it, and you make sure that I'm understanding it, and maybe somebody will hear it. Basically, what you're saying is whatever is said to you in a reading is reading your energy right now at this point. So if you change nothing, which your energy is always shifting depending on everything, right? You're making different choices, and maybe you make a different choice after you get that reading than you would have in the energy you were in at the time of the reading, and it might take you down a different course. Is that right?
Fairly accurate. Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And I would say that even pieces of a prediction can sometimes happen, and then other pieces of that same prediction may not, because of all of the energetic shifting happening. Okay. So, but what we strive for in predictions is to be, to hit many and miss some, right? And I would say that that's a good percentage, is to hit many and miss some. So,
Okay. Yep. That's good advice.
Okay.
Okay. So I think what I'll do is let's do a recap of energy. I'm going to do just both of you together. in your energetic bubble of just kind of the 2024. So give me just a second. I'm going to shuffle and deal and get into your energy.
All right.
Let me know when you feel it.
Candy?
I'm just kidding. You're not going to feel it.
I'm like, what are we waiting for?
Oh, great. What am I waiting for?
I feel something.
I think I feel something. I don't know.
Let me know when you feel the possession.
All right. Yeah, I'm feeling it now.
Just kidding.
People are like, oh, not doing it.
Right. Did I just scare away like a percentage of the viewing
listeners?
No, I
don't know. So many things, like we were just taught to fear, like tarot readings, like just any of that. And it's so helpful. It's just helpful. You know, it doesn't tell you like this is going to happen to you. And then you just, it's just, it gives you some guidance, kind of some clarity sometimes. I don't know. I find it enjoyable.
How is that different than looking at the clouds or the sky or the ocean waves or anything like that and saying,
or praying in a way, because you're manipulating things. Yeah. It's not.
I attribute it to like, a good reading, a good tarot reading or a psychic energy reading is, akin to like having a really good conversation with a friend.
Yeah.
And then being able to walk away and say, I never thought of it that way. Yes. And it gives me something to think about and ponder on, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you
what
go.
If that friend's the devil?
Yeah, except that
friend. She said a good friend. Okay.
Maybe the devil is my good friend.
Hey, Okay, so what's interesting though is that when I was shuffling, and sometimes we have cards that fly out or fall out in the middle of a shuffle, and sometimes we'll take those as like, ooh, that's a sign, like that's another message on a message, right? And so the first one that pops out for you guys is this new beginnings card, this Ace of Wands, which I feel like in the overall theme of 2024 for both of you was really about this new growth, this expansion of, and I want to say it's more like in an internal expansion for both of you. It's like being able to understand that you can explore and test things and start things and, poke and wonder in a way that you never really thought that you could before. Does that sound like kind of...
it's right on track.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And I love that this card just flies out, right? New beginnings card. What's interesting is that this whole top row here is really about, we have the theme now. We have the theme of this new growth, self-growth, this... but it's really, we've got this discernment happening also. And just realizing that you don't have to sacrifice of your own beliefs, and this inner conflict and a lot of self-evaluation happening too during this. And that's what I think attributes all of the whole theme to this new beginnings, new energy, and this self-growth type of environment for both of you. Now, what I love, you guys, this is such an amazing spread here. So I love that there's, what great energy you both have. And we have the Empress and the Magician, which is really like about nurturing who you are and what you want to do. And I feel like when it comes to 2024, in the midst of this new beginning and finding all of these things that make you happy, it's almost like you've realized that who you need to nurture the most and to do it creatively as well. So I feel like maybe there has been a lot of creative outlets for both of you that you've been exploring and pursuing in order to do that nurturing of your own soul, right? Just an overall, such an overall general positivity this year. And I kind of feel like there hasn't been a lot of super exciting things for both of you this year, but there has not been a lot of super disappointing things either. This has really just been a year of inner world exploration and just kind of deciding this is who I want to be and this is how I want to do that, right? And what makes me happy. What's interesting too is that we have, and I love it when because sometimes there'll be two cards next to each other that also kind of combine for like a more solid message. And just because I know this about both of you, that you're both deconstructionists, right? I mean, the theme of the podcast.
Yeah.
We have the Four of Pentacles in reverse and the Page of Swords in reverse, which is almost like this is an aspect of spirituality and better judgment next to each other.
Yeah.
And so it's like that inner growth and that new beginnings energy is really attributed to the better judgment of your beliefs, your core spiritual beliefs. And that has been the catalyst to push you forward into that self-growth moment for this year. It's been a really peaceful and interesting year. And I say interesting because it's a lot of introspection happening for both of you, just on a soul level, on a deep level, individually and together. I don't want to say that it's just one of you that's really focused on that, but even in your relationships together with family, we've done a lot of searching and we've done a lot of deciding in order to nurture our own soul, and our choices and decisions have been based on those particular attributes. What is going to nurture me? And that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So lots of better judgment and just a lot of positivity and growth for both of you in the last year.
Ooh,
you should be very proud.
Oh, yes. That was good, because I was giving me shivers because it was just making me go back through the year. And I'm like, yeah, like we did amazing stuff inside.
We're amazing. Yes, we are. Right.
Oh, we try,
Well, no, and I think that speaks for exactly where you guys are both at in your life, too. As you've gone through this deconstruction, once you get past the sadness and the anger of it, right? What comes out of the end is that realization of flourishment and growth. And like, wow, I never realized that I could feel this way or do this or not feel this way.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And that's you guys are kind of at that end game level of that, moment of, now I've realized I'm done mourning that. Now I'm going to take what I know and live, fulfillingly and do what makes me happy now.
Yeah.
Screw
That's
it
interesting,
else.
because that's exactly what we've been talking about, even with the podcast. Like it's an end of, I was like, I'm done being angry. I'm done. Like I've even had a softening towards people who hurt us, and, and it's just like, and you see them as they're hurting, so they're going to hurt, instead of being angry like they did it on purpose or they don't love us. And, it's just, that's interesting, because that's been something we've talked about several times. So
through the year.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Let's see what 2025 is holding. Now, what's interesting is that as I knew that this question was going to arise today, and this happens a lot of times for me when I know that I'm going to be doing a reading in advance, and it's usually within I don't know what I want to say, maybe 3 to 5 hours. Sometimes I get these energetic hits of things that are coming through already, right? And I'm like, no, hold on, wait. I'm shoving it off, right? But I know that it's going to pertain to, it happens often enough now that I know what it's going to pertain to. And one of those things was this overall, I heard 2 words for the collective energy of just where we are at as a collective in 2025. And I thought that was interesting, because the 2 words that the first word I got was a lot, we're going to end up with a lot of truths coming out this year. A lot of truths. This is the way it was giving me, a lot of truths. And I found that to be an interesting way to say that. Yeah. The other piece was that we need to, as a collective, release our expectations, because then there's going to be less disappointment.
Yes, that's true.
Our expectations, because we will have less disappointment then. And I don't know, and I kind of feel like maybe those are intertwined, right? We're going to have a lot of truths coming forward for us, and we don't really know what to expect, right?
Yeah.
So let's release that expectation.
Yes.
And just to be, for clarity's sake, collective, you're not referring to just us three here. You're referring to everyone. Yeah.
Yes, yes, exactly. The energy as a whole, all of us.
Yeah. Like that's
and I don't know why that makes me concerned or excited for like what these truths may be, because you know, like will they be?
Yeah.
If we
because of our
that,
expectations,
we find truths out. What it, you know, hopefully we're not going to be so like, I don't know, but
we won't be if we lose our, if we release our expectations, we won't go on the roller coaster.
It'll just be what it is. Exactly. It is what it is at that.
It is what it is. That's, I say that all the time, but you know.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see here. What do we got for 2025? I feel like this really, kind of goes along with the end of 2024 for you guys, because this spread already is really about, how do I say this? It's really about, this is about action and the lack of or the too much of, right? And so I want to say that there's this balance that's needed. And this is a really interesting fine line, because it's almost like we get too involved, we go neck deep in things, and then that can cause the burnout, right? Or the I don't really want to do this anymore, or I'm over it, right? But then there's also there are things that you want to do, and there's a lot of hesitation to do those things. And so this is really about recognizing what is what. When is it this, and when is it that, right? When am I pushing too much? When am I doing too much or being reckless with my energy or my time or my ability to handle this? And when am I hesitating and stagnant? And there's things on my list that I really want to pursue, but I'm just not doing them. And so again, though, another year of self-focus. And I think this is appropriate considering where you both are at the end of 2024 as well, is that you especially with the relationship that both of you have and the fact that it's solid, you are able to split off and focus on yourselves without weakening, or, it's just not where the attention needs to go.
Yeah.
And so it's okay to be able to focus on you individually as a person and do the things that you want to do. And because you have such a balanced relationship already. So that's the energy isn't needed in that moment of I would say, and I think you do a good job of keeping it balanced, right? Not you don't want to ignore it. I'm not saying ignore it because it's good, but it's a good balance right now. And so it's okay to have the self-growth continue in that. I think that what's interesting is that you guys are all business, and sometimes that gets in the way of no fun.
Yes.
And so, yeah. And I think that also goes back to the first point of, knowing when that line is of, am I doing too much of this? And am I not doing enough of this? But also what's interesting, and this really kind of validates another hit that I got early on for you, Candy, a few hours back, was that there is I feel like you have a list of things that you want to pursue, and you're just bored if you're not growing and learning and doing these adventures.
How can you be saying this right now? Oh my God, we have just had this conversation. Go ahead. Oh my goodness.
Well, and it's like so you can sometimes get wrapped up into that. I'm bored. I'm bored in life right now. What are the things that I need to do to grow and learn? What is something I want to do? But then the questions that you have to ask yourself in that moment is, why am I not okay with being bored?
Mm-hmm.
Why, or am I, if I add one more thing to my plate or take this to the next level or do this thing, now am I going over the line, right? The line that we just talked about. But that boredom aspect for you tends to look differently from your lens. And I feel like I also look at boredom from this lens where it's I'm not accomplishing anything if I'm bored, or I've got too much time on my hands if I'm bored, right? So I must fill this up with something, right? That's going to grow me as a human. And sometimes, and sometimes it's okay to be bored, right?
Are you
Read a
listening
book.
to this?
I'm listening, but I'm just like, oh God.
Right?
It's making me very uncomfortable.
We had this conversation with our oldest daughter last night.
My oldest daughter was getting on me because I struggle to watch a movie and not like be busy with my hands or like designing on my computer or something. And she's just like, Mom. And I'm like, I can't do it.
Because what she does, she falls asleep like 5 minutes in.
I'll just fall asleep.
And I think that's a good angle to run with and to understand, what is it about just sitting still that it's uncomfortable for me? Why can't I just sit on the couch and watch a movie like everyone else, right? Why do I have to be on my phone and working at the same time and scrolling through social media? And understanding what is it about that makes me uncomfortable and why, and how do I move forward in working towards being in the moment? Because really that's what it comes down to, is being grounded and being in the moment and taking that in and being okay with it. Because that feeling can sometimes lead to overload, and now you're adding things to your schedule and you think you need to do this and you think you need to do that because you're bored, right? When really it's not any of those things. It's that paradigm. You need that new paradigm in looking at this from a different lens, which I love. I know that the viewers may not see this on video, but I love this card because it's a little kid with goggles on it, and the key word is new paradigm. Like looking at it from a different angle, right? And so it's so cute, because even in like oracle card or tarot readings, we use the imagery on the cards also to feed into the energy and what that means. And this is really about going back to that understanding, that simplified understanding of why it is that you need that new lens, that new perspective of something. You guys are really other than this Page of Cups in reverse, which is sometimes like, I think this is more of a need for both of you. And that's that young, fresh, have some fun and don't always be so serious vibe, right? We don't always have to be working. We don't always have to be wondering what we're going to do for the next episode. We can take some time out. Right? We can take today and just do something dumb, right? Something simple and something fun, just to have fun, right? And so I think there's that need for that to happen more often, but a lot of resilience. And I do want to say too, what's interesting is that I feel like, and this is we're going into predictive mode here. I feel like there's going to be a key partner. And I don't know if you have maybe talked about it or are searching, but I feel like there is a third piece, and more towards you, Dan, more energy towards you, where either you're going to be working in tandem with someone on a project, or like outsourcing and you're going to be working together in some aspect, but I feel like this is in relation to the podcast or the growth of whatever it is, a project that you are wanting to pursue. And I don't see this happening soon. I'm thinking maybe 6 months to the end of next year. But I feel like there's going to be this business. It's a partner of some sort in some way. And I don't know what the, I can't tell you if it's you're outsourcing or if you're bringing somebody on, but I do feel like this person, I just don't put all your ducks again, there's that expectation piece, right? If you don't have any expectations, and not that this doesn't work out, but just know that not people aren't always what they say they are, right? And just keep that at the forefront of all your decisions. So that as you're traveling through and growing, and maybe you need a producer or something, right? And you're bringing someone in, just know who they are in the long term, right? And don't put your chips in all one basket and seal the deal right away until you know. That's just doing your due diligence. But I feel like there's going to become a time when you're like, I need help. I need to reach out to someone to help me do this or teach me this or anchor into this. And I do feel like, I don't know if you, and it's interesting because I feel like the podcast is more Dan's pet than Candy's pet. Would you say that? Because I feel like this is Dan's pet project, and Candy's just like, yeah, sure, I'm along for the ride.
Oh, that's funny.
Quick question. When did you come and bug our house?
Yeah,
and start listening to all our conversations?
Wow.
Because these are things we've had in the last 2 weeks talking about.
Yeah.
All the conversations that have come up in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, even like the one you just said, like it is Dan. Dan does all the work for the podcast. I mean, I just show up and hit record with him. Yeah. Yeah. He does everything else. He does the advertise. I mean, like he talks about it on TikTok. I don't really. I just share his posts. And I was like, I probably should be more involved, but I've got so many other things. But you're right. That's very true. Very true.
Well, and I say that because I feel like, Dan, you have big hopes for this podcast. I feel like there's this huge urge to take it to the next level, to succeed, and to just make it more and make it. You just have very high expectations for where you see this going, and I feel like at one point you're going to realize that I need help, or I need fresh ideas, or I need someone who's an expert in X, Y, and Z, and I can't do it all. And in order to move forward, you may have to, get it, contract out something, a service of some sort. Yeah. And that's where I say that piece of, don't sign a lifetime contract with someone you don't really know. Test it out, right? Test people out. Don't, just know that I do see this. There's another party coming in that you're going to need help from. And I think that's going to be a good thing too. I think in order for you to level up, that you may need this extra piece of support, whatever that is, whatever you see yourself doing at the top, right? It's going to take a team is what I feel like. And I also feel like, though, that you very much like having the control over all the pieces, because this is your love child, right? I like being able to do all the things on my own. I am also the same way. Down to the post, right, on TikTok, down to the post, down to the wording. But however, again, there's that fine line balance that we're talking about in 2025 of knowing when it's a good thing for you to reach out to an expert, or it's a good thing to invest in this piece here in order to level up and to take the ladder one step further, right? And so a lot of resilience for you guys, though. I don't see nothing feels catastrophic. I don't feel any strong disappointments. What I see is a lot of tripping and getting right back up. Like normal life, right? We trip
Just
over
shows
the
you're
curb.
trying. You're going to fail sometimes. Yeah. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And I see a lot of those little pieces happening throughout the year, but they feel more like they're happening for you instead of to you, kind of those little pieces. And it's all part of that growth process. Such a great year ahead for you guys. I mean, I think you're in such a good place to be able to focus on your own souls and your own creative projects. I think both of you find some solace in creative outlets. And I think that's important for your souls on a healthy and satisfying level, is to have these types of pet projects and be able to pursue those things that you love to do. And also to trip on the curb sometimes and learn, figure out, what you need to do next. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you guys are going to have a really fun year, year. You've done a lot of the heavy emotional lifting in the past. And so now it's about that release of, I get to be who I truly am. And I'm just going to be, me, and I'm going to do the things that it's all self-focus, right? And just nurturing your own attention and your own needs and wants. And you're in such a great place to be able to do that. So now I know I have asked you both to bring a few questions so we can pull a few cards on some questions.
Do you want to go first?
Oh, you can if you want.
No.
You want me to?
I want you to.
You guys are like, no, you go.
I see how this
I don't want to hear the answers.
Well, we'll keep it on the same theme then, because one of them was about kind of our business side of things and ventures, and and you kind of touched on it, but maybe we can get a little more specific on it. What the progress, the development, what paths we need to go on from the podcast and promotion of it and getting it out, because we're doing fine for where we're at, but it's kind of in a level where, like you said earlier, we need to take that next step and really give a little more oomph into it and see some more results. What do we need to do to actualize and see that happen?
So what's interesting is that I feel this level of stagnancy exuding from your energy. Like, I'm stuck here. We're stuck. We're not moving backwards, but we're also not moving forwards how I anticipate, right? Yeah. How I want to. It's almost like, again, this is this new paradigm. And I feel like this could pertain to you, Dan, in how you like to, you are very much, you have your ways that you like to do things, and you love to manage that, right? You want to make sure things are done the way you want. However, I will say that it's going to take, so I'll just show you this card. This is the Tower in reverse, which means that we're not letting go of things that we probably need to let go of in order to move forward. And my guess is a little bit of that control, but also a vision. So, and I say that because if you do the same thing you did yesterday, you don't get any different results. And that's how it feels, the energy is feeling like coming forward. So when I say, let's break some things up, let's break some rules, let's do something different, something that you might even be very uncomfortable with. And it might take really reaching out and trying to figure out what it is that's different, because we only know what we know, right? I only know how to do the things I know how to do, but that's gotten you to this level on the ladder, right? But now I need somebody else's perspective or idea. You might pay somebody who's an expert to review what you have and give you some ideas and perspective. Pay for somebody's time for an hour to say, hey, look at what we have. Tell me what you think. What do you see? Just to get a different set of eyes, to get a different, to get something different going. You're throwing the wrench in what you're doing that's monotonous. That has gotten you to this point. Now we got to do something that's a little more, and I don't want to say divisive, but the only things that ever go viral are always the negative,
that's true.
They're funny, negative, controversy, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, how do you, a shock value. Yes, that's the good word. That's the word I'm looking for. How can I throw in the shock value and be rebellious to get this thing the gas that it needs? And I kind of feel like that's the need, is it needs this like shock value, because you guys have an excellent topic that could reach so many like-minded folks. How do you get in front of their eyes? My guess is it's going to take shock value, because it's just, that's what it takes. That's what it takes for every genre of everything, right? And we love things that are so dramatic and shock value, right? But nonetheless, this feels very much like it's time for you, Dan, to get adventurous in your creativity. We got Knight of Wands here, which means that you are that person. Yeah, you are that person, but it's going to take jumping off the cliff a little from you into uncharted area in terms of doing things that, maybe you got to look for things you haven't thought of yet. And I think they're there, but staying stuck in your ways of things that, you've done. Again, you only know what you know. And it's time to do something that is totally off the wall, is what it feels like. Again, there's that partnership that's like, So what's interesting, I feel like, okay, this partnership that I was speaking of earlier, this person really doesn't have your best interest at heart. They really are just looking for a paycheck, to put it blankly. I'm doing this job because I'm cutting my check for whatever the work is that I do for you. So just know that if that gives you those vibes, immediately turn the other way. Yeah, find somebody else. If somebody gives you those vibes, you reach out, somebody reaches out to you. I just feel like this person doesn't care like you're going to want them to care about your own business, right? They're just not in it for that. I really, truly want to see you succeed. So I want to be a part of what you have.
Yes.
And get compensated for my time, because that you should. Yeah. But this person's really more of a materialist. I'm just trying to cut a check, and I don't really see this as a long. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So whatever that's it is. Basically, you're giving us a tip for him to discern, which you kind of mentioned earlier, discern between, as he's at whatever point when he starts to look for extra help, he can use that as like it will help him determine, is this person, and just kind of listen into his own intuition. Like, are they in this do they have the same vision we have? Okay. Right.
Are they going to protect my pet project like I want somebody to, at the same time? You just want someone who cares also. That's good advice. Again, you are a very rational person and very disciplined, Dan. And I think what's interesting is that you need to depend more on Candy. because
when did you two talk to each other? When did this phone call take place between you two?
It didn't happen.
It
You
is
just have to listen. The spirits are talking to you.
Right?
You two are going behind my back and having these
It is
communications.
okay to ask for ideas. It is okay to reach out
I can't believe
to
she's saying this.
you wouldn't normally reach
Or
out to
can't
and
you?
say, hey, what do you think? What do you see? Right?
Yeah.
You two
And
are
I think
cohorts
this
together.
is more of like a vision. You're searching for, and you don't have to use everything that everyone gives you, right? But
No,
ask.
I don't.
Start asking.
You
I
need to
love
be
this.
open. That's what she's saying.
We have,
Yeah.
I love this imagery too. I hope you guys put this on YouTube. The Mr. Rational over here, King of Swords, and Queen of Cups, Queen of Emotion, emotional wisdom, right? And so I feel like this is very significant to the pair of you here of who we're dealing with, Mr. Rational.
Rational.
Oh
Yeah.
man, very. That's interesting. Yeah.
Well, and we have the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, which upright is like self-sufficiency, right? But reverse is dependence. And I feel like this is in a different way of you needing to depend on others and not feeling like you have to do everything yourself and be in charge of everything and to make things function, to be a little more trusting of giving that, giving the reins a little bit to others to help you proceed. But what's interesting is that when you feel like there may come a point in this process where you feel like nothing I'm doing is working, or that's not going, I can't find anybody, right? There's going to be a point where you're kind of like, throw your hands up. I don't know what to do anymore type of a thing. That's when you put your head down and you keep your nose to the grind and you keep your diligence moving forward, right? You keep going because that's Eight of Pentacles. And that means that even when you don't think that you're moving forward, you are climbing. You're still climbing. That's part of the process, right? It's feeling like it doesn't seem to be anything happening, right? And especially in a business like this, where you're trying to grow, you're trying to find views, right? Sometimes you can have months of nothing and then all of a sudden, just keep going with the consistency, because you definitely have consistency under your belt.
That's true.
For sure. If nothing else, you got consistency like nobody's business. And that is so good because you have that to lean on. When that feeling comes about, I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing. It's just going to take one clip, one episode, one TikTok, one view of, just that blows up, and you're just waiting for that one, right? And then all of a sudden you get a mass load of followers because of that one piece. So just reaching out and trying all of these new ideas is going to be so important. It's almost like I'm literally seeing someone just throwing spaghetti on the wall to find what sticks, right? And I feel like that's the adventure that you need to take, is just start throwing things out on the wall and see what sticks. But taking a little more, taking a few more jumps off the cliff in the unknown territory is going to be important for you to mix it up and see what is going to be the one tagline, what's going to be that one niche of the niche of the niche that you're going to narrow in on, that's going to bring in viewers, right? Or followers. And right now, you are very consistent. And so breaking that up a little and doing something a little different. The one thing that, side note, was there was a video of you guys and your kids. And I just thought that was a hoot. If any of the listeners right now are listening, there's a video that Dan and Candy did a while back where it was like a little skit. That was hilarious. That was gold.
Was that the movie one?
I thought this is a normal. Yeah, it was out of the ordinary for you guys. I normal content, more of that, more of these wild throw-ins that are entertaining.
Yeah.
It was our horror movie.
Probably. Yeah, that probably was the horror movie
That's
that we
right.
made of.
That horror movie.
Yeah.
That was great. That was great. And the irony of that is that, Dan, you had other people that you leaned on to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there you go. There you go. So that's going to be your key, is to lean on others, ask for ideas, do some different things, throw things at the wall and find something that sticks or that you like or that's fun, anything. And I think that you're going to be, but also the diligence of knowing that you're in the business of really hard to get viewership, right? And it only takes one piece of media or content to get that rolling, though. So continuing to break the mold and try new things is going to be really important. So
yeah, that's there's a little bit of a
delay. Did I answer all your questions in that? Did I hit all those questions?
Yeah, that was
good.
That was very good. Very.
I don't think it counts because you two talked.
These are conversations we've had. I love having somebody else say it to him, Alicia. Thank you.
Well, you just to remind him, I am the queen of cups, okay? Remember, emotional wisdom over here.
Yeah, I don't need that in my life now. Your turn. Ask a question.
Your turn. Yeah, your turn.
Okay. So mine would be, I have another podcast that I've started recently, and it's just my hypnotherapy and so for the first of the year, like the first episode will come out tomorrow of this new thing I'm trying.
Well, tomorrow would have been.
Or whenever this is recorded. Yeah, whatever. Anyways. Okay, so
sometimes.
I'm doing a podcast where I'm kind of going through teaching the 12 laws of the universe so that people can I've kind of talked about emotional guidance, kind of your inner guidance system, because we came out of Christianity where it was like you're told that this God is guiding everything. And now I'm like, I know it's inside. I'm kind of learning as I go, and I want to help kind of guide people teaching as I go. Am I on the right track going this direction where it's going to be it's uncomfortable for me a little bit, just because coming out of evangelical Christianity, I kind of got into atheism a little bit, and then I realized that is not for me. I definitely think there's something there. And now I'm kind of understanding that, but I don't know it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't just teach it like I've been doing this forever. I have been learning it for a few years, so I just want to know if I'm on the right track going this direction where the hypnotherapy is going to be very spiritual rather than like medical, or, there's different types of hypnotherapy, but I really have a strong desire to go the spiritual route, but that also changes my clientele a little bit.
So, okay. So right off the get-go, we have cycles of change for you. Like you're going through this transformation of how you see what you're doing and how you see it, the way you see it playing out, but also even your own thought process, right? You're still evolving through that. Yes. What's interesting is that I think that you have this mental strife over feeling like you have to have the answers. And I think what you just told me just now, you could literally say on a podcast and share the process of you discovering what those answers are. I don't know a single person that doesn't question what they believe, right? And I think that alone is part of you and your niche, right? As you move forward,
Okay.
it's, I'm trying to figure out this. I'm
Mhm.
here to walk you through with me side by side
Yeah,
to figure things out.
Mm-hmm.
And you could literally say that and have tons of content on all of this, but I think this, but I think this, but I think,
Mhm.
right? You could share all the
Mhm.
things that you think and that how you're trying to kind of piece them together to make sense for yourself in what
Mhm.
you believe. And I think that that in itself relates more than any sort of absolute that you can
Okay.
provide an audience, right? Because I
Mhm.
think, especially when you get into the spiritual aspect of
Mhm.
things,
Mhm.
people have so much doubt, right?
Yes.
And so coming from it from that perspective of, I'm just not really totally sure either. So I'm exploring this and I'm taking you along with me.
Yes.
My beliefs might change next month based on what I learn
Yes.
in the next
Okay.
month. And you're going to
Yeah.
be here to witness all of that. And I think that is your authentic angle.
Yes.
Rather than you saying, I have all the answers and I'm going to teach you how to do this. Here's
Mhm.
what I'm learning and I'm sharing, and you're going to walk the path forward with me as I learn it. And I'm going to share what I learned
Mhm.
alongside. So if you're
Okay.
questioning what's out there, or here's what I know, right? Here's where
Mhm.
I'm at today. And I think
Okay.
that is more authentic for you to
Yes.
come at that angle rather than, I'm going to teach you
Yep.
all of these things, you know, and feeling like you
Yes.
have to
I
have
don't
that
like that.
solid.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And I
Yes.
think that and it's funny
Hmm.
because we've got this cycles of change, right? The wheel of fortune. Things are moving for you, and
Mhm.
wheels are turning, right? Of wheels of
Mhm.
creativity, and my belief systems are still trying to line up. I'm still
Mhm.
trying to figure out where I'm at. What do I
Mhm.
believe? What are and that might not feeling like you have to not feeling like you have to have one answer for that is okay. I feel like, and because there's a lot of emphasis on this mental strife that you put
Mhm.
yourself through in order to feel like I have to have a belief system. I have to
Yeah.
know what I believe.
Yeah.
Who, if
Exactly.
somebody asks,
Yes.
you're not going to have an answer. And you're
Mhm.
putting a
Mhm.
lot of pressure on yourself to have that answer. And it's okay to not have an answer for that.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's okay to say, I would think that that would even be better because
Mhm.
how many of us are in that area?
Space. Yeah.
Yeah, that space right now that we live in of, I don't know what to believe. I'm
Yeah.
deconstructed from this. I'm not here, but
Yeah.
I'm here a little. This is what I think. But
Mhm.
do we have to have a label for it? So it's almost like the no label journey, right? Is how I
Yeah.
feel like is where what you could share and relate to so many people. Because even if you have someone
Wow.
who has a strong belief in something, you're
Mhm.
still going to appeal to that person as well because they no doubt question other aspects of that
Yeah.
belief, right? Yeah.
True.
So
Yeah.
we're all just taking pieces from everybody and trying to
Mhm.
decide and throw it all together. And there's no name for that, right? So
Mhm.
strive, like really worrying about what do I call this? What is my belief system?
Yes. Yeah.
Throw that out the door.
Okay.
And understand too that that could change 6 months from now.
Mhm.
And you
Yeah,
could totally
that's true.
uproot your whole belief system and
Mhm.
maybe all of a sudden you're evangelical again. I don't know, you
Oh
know,
God,
but
no. I hope
knowing that
not.
that's okay.
I
But
don't want it,
knowing
but
that
yes,
that's
if I
okay,
land there, yeah,
right?
it's okay.
If you
No,
land there, you
no.
land there, right? And that's okay. And I think leaning on where you are today and not where you think you have to be
Yeah.
first, right? Or
Mhm.
where you think you need to be in order to start something, but leaning on where you're at today is going to give you the most authentic content. And I do feel that because you are in the middle of this process, and you said this yourself when you asked this question, was this makes me very uncomfortable. I do
Mhm.
think that this is a journey that is for you to grow as a person and to
Mhm.
understand. So this is almost just as beneficial for you to go
Yes.
through because you are still in the unfinished process, right?
Yeah.
Of
Mhm.
figuring out all of those answers. And maybe you just live there.
Yeah.
That's okay too, right? And
Mhm.
knowing that
Mhm.
that's okay. But I think that it is going to be uncomfortable because you're having to put on display to people, I don't really know. I don't know. Right. And I think that sometimes when you're good at things and you have all of the answers, we tend to want to publicize those things, right? And not publicize the I don't know parts of ourselves, right? Because that makes us look vulnerable. And I feel like that's where your uncomfortability comes from. It feels you do have a little bit of perfectionism.
Oh yeah, I do.
Like that strive to, I've got to put my best foot forward.
Yes.
But again, I think that the gold moment for you is the total opposite of that, is getting in front of people and saying, I don't know, but I'm here and we're going to do it, right? We're going to do it. And I'm going to take you through it with me. And here's what I think. Here's what I've learned. What do you think? Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be that chef's kiss content for you in a way that is going to be more intriguing to a larger base of people that are actually going through this as well. It's a relation of the rest of us, right? To kind of jump on board and say, yeah, you're right. I don't know either, but I'm interested to see what you have to say and what you have learned so that I can form my own beliefs.
Yeah.
Maybe you say something that's like, yeah, that's a good point, right? Yeah. So I think you're going to get more learners or people that are on the same path as you as well, in the same
I really like that
timeline as you. Again, I think that this is going to be slow to pick up for you. I think this project is going to be a really slow moving project for you, but good for you as well. Just as good for you, internally as you're learning and figuring out, what your beliefs are. This is a good path for you to walk down because it also addresses the uncomfortability and things in you that will help you grow. You are going to put on display all of those egos and fears that, you want to address to grow as a better person, right? To grow as a stronger human being. You also like to have excessive control. You're welcome, Dan. But I think this comes more from your perfectionism aspect of it. Yes, and knowing that, no, I need to do this just how I envision it, right? And I can't have anybody else's sticky fingers in this because then it's not going to look best and right, right? And I think that that is going to, just be aware of that. Just be aware of that. That sometimes it's okay, again, to reach out. It doesn't mean you have to take help, but at least ask and see what ideas are. Allow the release of some easy things, right? Some easy things to let go of. Start easy, okay? Again, slow. It's going to be a slow process. And here's the other thing too, and I do feel this in you. There is a lot of self-doubt in your energy, Candy. And I do feel like it's because you feel like you have to have absolutes in your life. You have to have labels for things. You have to have answers. You have to have the yes or the no. And I think that for you, going down this path and being uncomfortable as you're like uncovering all of in this journey is going to be so helpful for you to realize that you don't have to know. And you have to be okay with not knowing. And you don't have to have an answer. You don't have to even decide, right? That's the freedom that you have, is not having to decide what you believe in or decide that that's a yes or that's no. It can just be a maybe, and to learn to be comfortable there. Yeah. Because you're right, in the Christian religion, everything is absolute, right? Yeah. You're good. You're immoral, you're moral. You're going to sin or you're going to hell. I mean, it's everything is yes or no. Yes, there is a God. Yes, there is a hell. No, there isn't. And so everything is so absolute. And so that is ingrained deep into us that we need to have those answers. And I did feel that way for a long time after deconstruction. Well, what am I? Am I a witch?
Yeah.
I talked about this in my first episode, where I was like, I went through phases of trying out different things. Am I an atheist? What am I? Right.
Yeah.
And then I dropped it. I just dropped feeling like I needed to be something. And I'm like, something will come up, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know? And now I'm sitting in that window of, I just am what I am. I'm not going to call it anything.
I don't have to have a label. Yeah.
Yeah. Right? I don't know what I believe. I do have my beliefs, right?
Yeah.
But even as a medium who speaks to spirit, right? I know that what I'm receiving is information from something divine. Can I tell you really what it is? No. Could be anybody? No, we don't really. I can't say with 100% definitive proof that when that there is a God, that there is, these are angels, that these are, all I'm sure about for sure is that I'm getting information, things that I could not know about your past loved ones.
Yeah.
So that's them, that's our spirit guides relaying that information to us. Is it them in the past life? Highly likely, maybe. That's where I sit. And it's like, well, okay with that, because it's beautiful and it's healing, and there's a lot of good that comes from that without having to know, right? Factually, without having to still know that.
Yeah.
And so, but that self-doubt for you is really big. And so just working through that. And I think, like I said, this project that you started this is a path forward for that, to work through that for sure.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Did I get all that? Did I get
you did. That's very helpful.
All right. My second question then.
Yeah.
All right. This one could go good or bad.
Or in between those two.
Or in between, yeah. Nope, there's only good or bad. We just established that.
Right.
Our daughter that has separated herself from us, is there going to be any resolution or progress coming here of just, anything going to happen with that relationship coming forth here?
Is she young? Young adult?
She's young adult,
yeah.
This must be a young adult thing, because I also am going through this.
Are you?
So, yes. So, forgive the bias here in this whole thing, but so I'm going to pull some cards and we're just going to go, but when I don't get it. Okay. As a mother, I don't get it, man.
It's a whole niche on TikTok right now.
It is. And
Yeah.
There is, we've been going through it with her for 2 years, almost 3. And it's been brutal, but I've grown because of it, so I'm trying to find the good in it, but I don't understand it. But if you get in the little pockets on TikTok or whatever, you're going to hear the parents who are trashing the child, but you're also getting the child, and they don't go in them is basically what I'm saying, because it will just
don't do it.
Yes, it just makes you not feel good. I just don't feel good when I read any of the comments, or I listen. Very rarely when I listen to somebody are they like, okay, you can grow from this. It's not your child's not bad. They're making their decisions, based on where their point of view is. It doesn't make you, I've went through the whole thing. Am I a bad mom? What did I do wrong? I can't figure out, how can I change to make you, and it's a whole thing. But just don't go into those things, because it's just a lot of blame thrown around.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Parenting talk?
No, don't.
No. Okay. Well, so I think what's interesting is that when I dive into this energy, I think that you both know her the best, right? And I feel like you likely already know what the answer, what the reasons and the understanding around the situation is. There's just like, there's this feeling of, no, that can't be it. And I feel like, no, it's very simple. It's just like, it's more simple than we want to make it, in the fact that, I mean, fleeting interests, like Knight of Wands in reverse. Like, I just want all the freedom right now. I don't know who I am. I want to be who I want to be today, and that might not be tomorrow. And I don't want your judgment, and I don't want to hear what you have to say about what I did last week. And I'm loving the independence that I have now, and I want to do my own thing without the influence or conjecture from my parents, right? And how old is she?
22.
Mine's 22 too.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Make sure you're reading our cards.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
so here's
wow.
the funny thing. We've got 7 of Cups in reverse, discernment, right? And I feel like this takes us back to let's sit back and what affects us that we need to say something, and what affects us that we just don't need to say anything today or about, right? So picking and choosing our battles, and and just having that discernment to understand that, is she healthy? Is she happy? Is she safe? Then I'm okay, right? I'm okay, because nothing we say is going to make a dang of a difference, right? In their lives, whatever we've obviously tried. Here we are, right? At the end of our ropes. Like, what do we do? When is this going to turn around? We don't have those answers. But what's interesting too is that the moon card, which is kind of like, things are being, and I could take this in 2 different interpretations. So this is like unveiling reality or unveiling truths in our lives. And that could either be, from a parent's perspective of, realizing that this is now a grown adult, and we're kind of seeing this adult form in front of our eyes, and it's not the same child that we once knew. But this also could be her on her own, learning, being in her own reality of independence, and trying to understand who she is today, and what she wants to be, and what kind of person she wants to be, and what she does want to do. And it's like a lesson of learning, right? I'm in the moment of learning. And also, a third interpretation for that really could be, that's what we're all doing here, right? This is somehow a lesson that we are walking through, that we are having to go through to learn as a parent something, whatever that lesson may be that we're getting out of it. And she's also going through this lesson, right? Of how to be an adult, and just having to learn things on her own too. We always want, as parents, for our kids not to have to go through the same damn things that we went through, because we made those mistakes once, and we don't want that for them. But that we all know that in order to actually learn that lesson, we do have to go through that, unfortunately. I love this one, the patience card. The patience card. The patience. While she's unveiling her truths, we must have patience, right? But I do feel like this relationship, here's that Tower card. Remember, we had it in reverse, right? In Dan's reading about the podcast, right? Now we're upright, which is like, this is a really big interruption in our family right now. We're going through it, man. This is really causing a lot of the dynamic, a lot of mental strife in our dynamic, and especially in our own parental head, right? We're really in our head about this at this moment. We tend to be overly ambitious. I think that's where I feel like the energy is sitting, is overly ambitious and feeling like we have to solve this problem or fix it, and when really it's time to go to take some introspection here and to let it be. to let it be.
Okay.
The hermit card, this is we're walking our own path, because she has her own path that she has to walk now as well. And us being overly ambitious is not going to push that any faster, because we are absolutely determined. We have the Chariot card. We are determined and ambitious to solve this, because that's what we do as parents, right? We have to fix problems in our children's lives. But that does not give our kids the empowerment that they need to learn their own lessons when we do that. So I think the biggest piece here is that this is absolutely her own path forward that she must see to the end, whenever that, ends. Right now is a time for us to, and I love what you said, Candy, too, because I also said this back in the fall when we really had a blowout, was what did I learn from this as a person, as a parent, as a mother? What was my lesson? This is about our self-evaluation, is where we need to keep our focus. And again, having that discernment of if she's healthy and safe, then we're okay. And that's where our ambition stops, right? Are we healthy? Are we safe?
Yeah.
Just know that the lines of communication are open. We're doing our due diligence to let that be known. And then now we're hermiting, and we're letting them walk. We're letting them walk their path forward to learn those lessons that are necessary in whatever that pursuit might be. So,
wow, that was really good. Andy, there was something that came to my mind while you were talking too, is just this thought of not being a victim. And that's the thing I didn't like about the videos about this. The parents are the victims or the child is the victims. And I won't play victim. I was like, I'm not a victim here. At first I went through it where I felt like you're doing this to me, and begging her to act a certain way or be a certain way. And instead it's like, no, what can I do for myself to heal here? And then I'm not a victim. She's not a victim. We're just on these paths. And I like how you said, that's the way I've comforted myself. Is she alive? She happy as far as I can tell? Yes. It's okay.
Right.
Just,
Does she know she has a safe roof to come home to at the end of the day? Yes. Does she know that she has a place to come to talk? Yes.
Yeah.
So
she knows
our boxes
we're open.
Are covered. We've covered our bases as parents. And it's that release of, and I know part of my guilt was I didn't raise her to act this way.
Yes.
I didn't raise her to treat me this way. I didn't raise her this way. How did I screw up?
This happen? Yeah, exactly. Yep. Oh man.
And
I that's so true.
Just a test for everyone. So this is one of those tests that everyone has lessons to learn in, and God willing, I hope it ends soon.
Yeah. It just goes to show you there is not a one size fits all in parenting. None of us, we don't know what the hell we're doing at all. We're guessing each kid. We're thinking, what is the best way to deal with this? We're just trying to figure it out just as much as they are.
I take solace every day in not only knowing that she's healthy and safe, right? But that I know who I raised. I know the values that I instilled in her. Yes, I know that at the end of the day, she is a very responsible, smart young lady.
Yeah, that's
now
been mine too.
And now I have to hope that those things take precedence when she goes to make decisions, right?
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I'm sure all the other parents of 22-year-olds out there are like, kid.
It is comforting when others are going through it. It's like, okay, it's not just us.
Oh man, I know.
Well, and I guess my question then would kind of almost be a follow-up after that. I struggle because that's like the biggest thing in my life right now where I feel the most, I don't know what the right word is. it's just like a huge, it's not a failure, but it feels like it. You know what I'm saying? Because you
Yeah,
see these
I
other
can do that.
families and their kids and everybody's all together, and we just don't, we have it with our other children, but this one child, you know, you want them all there. Right. And so I have this in the back of my mind, and it plays into me putting myself out there because I feel like I'm phony. You see what I'm saying? Do I have to, it's like I almost feel like someone's going to find out that I have this child and they're going to go, you're not a good, look at you, because you deconstructed. This is why this happened. That kind of stuff. It plays in my head. So if there's any words for that, I would appreciate them to help me with it.
What's interesting is that this is almost identical to applying the reading that we just did with you needing absolutes.
Yes.
Needing
That's true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when I was thinking, wait a minute, this is a behavior pattern for you.
It is.
And this stems back from growing up being judged and growing up thinking that everybody has to be perfect and everybody, when in reality, now, I also have an estranged child that is running rampant, right?
Yeah.
That we are also, cranking out around here. And that is the normal, right? That is normal. Or who's to say what normal is anyways?
Yeah, that's true.
Breaking your barrier of what's normal and disconnecting from those old belief systems that what you think is normal, is it? Is it though? Right? Because I bet you if you polled 100 families, you're going to get maybe 4 or 5 families that are deemed societally perfect, right? Or what they deem to be, right? And the rest are probably just as messed up and estranged as the rest of us. What we're really going through.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that not fitting those pegs, right? And filling up that criteria of what you feel you need takes your confidence down. Yeah. As like you said, as what did I do? How did I fail this? I'm a failure of our family is not what it's supposed to look like, right? But what's interesting is that the Hierophant is really about the things you believe. And are they really, again, disconnecting from those belief systems of what you think are needed? Because are they really? And just knowing that, and I love this card, everything's going to work out just the way it's supposed to work out because karma, right?
Yeah. And that's true.
And
okay.
The interesting thing about this is I go back to what is the lessons that we need to learn as parents going through this? Because for some reason, we've been given this lesson also. For some reason, this is also in our path to learn something as well. Something we need something out of it also. So it's almost like, again, happening for us, not to us. What is it that is? And really, but again, disconnecting from those belief systems that you have this perception of how a family should look or act or be or proceed, right? Yeah. And realizing that everybody has things going on behind closed doors. Good grief, everybody.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, well, and just look, you went down the rabbit hole of parent talk and you saw how many folks had children that were doing their own things, right? So it's like there's your list of all these people with their problems on public blast.
That's true. Yeah. And then thinking that wasn't something that was abnormal, but it's something that a lot.
Right.
Yeah. That's like a little therapy session.
I keep going back to how did I act when I was her age? How did I treat my mother?
Yeah.
That shuts me up real fast. Let me tell you.
True.
That shuts me up real fast. And I'm thankful I have my daughter and not myself as a child.
There you go. That's true.
So, yeah.
That was good. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm dealing with a situation in my life where it's caused quite a bit of tumult and tribulation, shall we say. But for the most part, it's been fairly resolved. It's not doing a whole lot of upheaval in my personal life or anything like that. But it flares up every now and then because of the other individuals involved. And I guess the question is there going to be an end to these flare ups or some sort of ultimate resolution that just kind of ends it? And finally, everyone agrees to put it behind them and not just half of the parties affected.
All right, let's see. And I like that you're being vague too, because this, when you get information like that, it really is about just the energy. I don't know names. I don't know relationships. I don't know. So I love that. That is also, if you're a skeptic listening to this podcast right now, if you're a skeptic, do that. If you want to reach out for a reading to a tarot reader or a medium, that's how you would proceed. Be a
little vague,
diligent about how you send. Yeah, be a little vague. Okay. This feels like, oh my gosh, this feels like a lot of different personalities, a lot of different beliefs, a lot of different, this just feels like a rodeo of all different types of personalities right now, just going at it. That's what it feels like to me. Has their own idea of how X, Y, and Z should proceed. Everybody's got their own opinion. We've got some folks who are lying. We've got some folks who are in it for the wrong reasons. We've got some folks who just plain don't believe that this is their belief system. We've got some that are trying to manipulate the scenario to, backdoor it, or we've got some, there's a lot going on here. I mean, what's interesting though is that in all of this, I feel like what's interesting, Dan, is that you are really, this really puts you in a vulnerable situation. And it feels very much like this does weigh on you, on your heart a little because of this. And it may be even more so than you let on. This puts you kind of out of whack a little bit energetically. Whenever this flare up happens, it kind of turns your insides a little bit, and you're a little uncomfortable about it. I think that there is so I will say last card is a joyous occasion. So let's start with that. The ending of this is good. There is an ending, and it is good. It does resolve. Along the way, it is quite the adventure, though. Let's put it that way. There's a lot happening here. We've got some parties that are reconciling. We've got some people that are just passive. We've got some people that are going to be heartbroken. Some people are not going to voice their feelings. They're going to just kind of retreat. And I feel like but at the end, there are going to be parties that are not going to be happy, but it will be resolved. Does that make sense? Like there are going to be that are going to be disappointed, angry, mad, sad, heartbroken, whatever all these different, you're going to have a little of everything. You're going to have people that end up, there's going to be some reconciliation but not between everybody. Some are going to part ways. Some are just going to be, some are going to come around. There's going to be, someone that comes around and realizes and just kind of goes along with it, right? And there's going to be some that quietly back away. and kind of retreat. And, there's always one a-hole in the group. I don't know. Somebody's going to just be a jerk about it. And, but at the end, that's how I see this resolving, is that everybody accepts and kind of plays their part and takes it for however they walk away from the experience. That's what they're going to take with them. Not everyone's going to be happy with this outcome, but there will be some reconciliation. And my guess is that you can probably put all of those emotions and personalities onto who those apply to, is my guess. And how definitely. You anticipate them walking away from the final decision here, or the final outcome, is probably how that's going to come about based on their personality. Because I see their personalities playing a huge role in how this whole thing has accumulated anyways. So it makes sense that their personalities are going to play a role in the outcome as well. You're going to have people that are burnt about it, and they're just going to, what will they get over it eventually? Maybe. Are they the type that will stew on it and be pissed off about it for a year or two and then finally come around? You probably know their history and their personality better to, when the situation does, what's interesting is that there are some that are going to be extremely happy about this outcome. And I don't know if that's more like a relief that it's just over, or that we've decided, or that we no longer have to argue about this anymore, or what. There are some that are going to be joyous, like very thrilled about the outcome. And it's interesting because you feel like you're stuck in the middle. Like it's either here nor there. You just want everybody to just decide, get along. You feel like that middle child that's like, can anybody just get along? Why are we all arguing about this kind of person? Like, I just need everybody to get along and to be happy again, right? And that's kind of how I feel your energy in the middle of all these people shouting at each other and all their opinions of how they think things should go. And I think that it's going to be interesting. I think you have a little ways though. This does not feel like it's going to resolve because of the dynamic of the personalities. There's really strong personalities in here. You have someone who just is overly emotional, someone who's just at their core, their beliefs have a certain set way of how they live, and that's how they think. We have someone who's very manipulative. Someone who's like a silent type, but will kind of maybe turn around and then say stuff behind your back. There's a dynamic here of a lot of strong personalities. And once there's a resolution here, you can imagine that, the person who is, maybe manipulative and doesn't always tell the truth is going to be probably the most vocal, right, about how they feel about this. You're going to have someone who's going to end up coming around and being like, well, okay, whatever. You're going to have some person that's going to end up crying about it and being totally devastated and heartbroken about it. You're going to have someone who's just totally silent and you're not going to hear anything. That's how they process things, maybe. And then you're going to have some that are going to actually reconcile and be like, shake hands when we're done, right? And we have those people. Right. So, and then you're all going to go your ways and life's going to continue. And they're going to deal with things how they always deal with things. Right. And so, but will the situation be resolved in 2025? Given the fact that this card is it was the last card I pulled by the end of the year, but I don't see it happening soon. And I would maybe even push it into early next year, 2026, if I could predict that. So, but you never know, right? I mean, like I said, energy shifts. It could be next month, okay? I'm just someone finds, the light and they're like, ah. Yeah. But I do see this. What's interesting, though, is it becomes more about how you're going to deal with all of this happening around you. and not letting it get to you like this. This is a card that this doesn't come up very often in a reading. And what this means for me when it does come up is that this is like throws you energetically off balance, meaning maybe you can't sleep that night. Maybe the flare up and now you can't sleep, or you're having to deal with the drama, right? Maybe you're not eating. Maybe it just throws a wrench in how you feel in your life. That could be mentally, emotionally, physically, however that affects you, right? Mm-hmm. But this is like, you having to just deal with something that, that doesn't feel good, right? And it throws you off balance when this happens. And what's interesting, though, is that I feel like you cannot control any of this that's happening around you other than how you react.
Yeah.
In this situation, all of these different personalities that are going at it and trying to trying to get their voice heard here and show it however they normally do, you cannot control anything here. This is a situation that has to play out, and the only thing that you can do is figure out how you're going to deal with it when the flare up happens. And honestly, I would say this feels very much because of these strong personalities, it's almost very theatrical. Like, there are some that are very performative about their feelings in this dynamic, and they say and do things, I feel like, to actually get that reaction out of people. And I want to say to you, not to let that happen. To take it with a grain of salt. When it comes around, you put your blinders on and your earplugs in, because this is not a situation that you're going to have any influence over. You put in your 2 cents, that's all you can do. And then you just let everyone else fight for the wishbone here during the flare-ups. And then they do their thing and they go back to their holes and then, wait for the next flare-up. But it really feels like this is out of your control. And so it's not worth letting yourself get that out of whack about it every time it comes up because of that reason.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good.
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Does that resonate?
Yeah, that does. Very much so.
All right. Last question.
Hey.
I am trying to build a hypnotherapy practice. My podcast is kind of part of it, everything, right? So this is another kind of business. Am I going to be able to, my goal is I'm still doing like side gigs, like delivering groceries and stuff to make the income that we need as I'm building this. And I want to shift towards doing my passions where I actually have a strong passion to help people. And I want to shift off of the other. Am I going to get closer to that goal this year?
Okay. Let's see here. You really do all that extra stuff on all your free time that you don't have?
I don't have free time very rarely. But we're going to start doing more fun stuff because I liked that. We need to.
Remember when we were talking about boredom?
Good.
Oh. You never can sit idle.
Oh, that's right. That's okay. I don't feel useful or productive if I'm sitting here bored. I must be doing something with my time.
That is the big word right there.
Yep.
Like I'm,
useful. Yes. Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
That makes sense now. Okay. Let's see here. You know what's interesting is I feel like there's that boredom card again coming out.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. What I feel like is that you have a lot of creative ideas, right? And not enough time to implement them, right? Yes. And almost more so than you could probably ever even imagine implementing at once. But what is interesting, Dan, what I do find interesting, though, is that there is this huge sense of renewal for both for all of your combined efforts in all of your different projects together, even and individually, is that there's this sense of a revamping of creativity needed. So I love that you are thinking, how can what can I do to push this ahead, right?
Yeah.
Well, the answer is it's a creative vision. Doing something, again, is kind of like similar to Dan's doing something out of the ordinary or that makes you uncomfortable, or taking that step that you maybe never thought you would do, right? Or I never thought I would do this, but here I am, because you never know. Again, throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. But really, this is about getting creative. The more creative that you can become, the more effective what you put out is going to be, right? And I love that that's coming up here. The King of Wands, man. That's like, I am a master creator. And you have it up here. You have it. This is why I told Dan to ask you for ideas. Okay.
She has ideas.
No, I haven't.
You have a lot going on up here. You just need some time and some focus to think of those things. And you can roll and utilize that. Utilize that aspect of yourself because it's there. Is it going to be a swift process? No. But nothing is. I don't think that's out of the ordinary.
No.
I mean, none of us go from 0 to 100 in a year, right? Will you have some actual seasonal growth every quarter? Yes. Because you're going to utilize this creativity and you're going to build that just like a stepping stone, right? Every month, you're going to do something different and creative, and you're going to keep going and you're going to keep going. So you're going to build on that. And that's what you have to do, right? This is just, again, there's this boredom card that's coming out again. We have to address that. I think that in this perspective, this is taking on too much and not being able to give what you need to that one thing that needs it, right? You have 10 projects going on and there's only one of you, and you have 5 cups. How are you you're gonna dip a little into all 10, or are you gonna take on 5 and actually fulfill the 5 correctly, right? That's really what this is about, I think, is being uncomfortable and okay with having downtime, being bored, not picking up another project. That is going to be because you have Dan's loving this. I mean, you guys are really loving each other's readings. Like, I told that's great. But no, you have this creativity in you that is so valuable, but you don't have enough time to use it, to utilize it the way that you could. It's like maximizing your potential, right? And using that. It is a slow process. It's a slow growing process, but if you don't start today, at the end of next year, you're going to be like, well, I didn't start. So here I am, one, right? You can at least say I'm 12 months into the game.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the important part for you, is that, and also I do want to address that delayed celebratory success, is that you also like to see success very quickly. And this is not something that you're going to see that in. So that boredom piece of, I'm not doing enough, or I need to switch to something else because this is not being successful now, or I need to revert, or I need to change. So, mindfulness about knowing that you're not going to go from 0 to 100 by July, right? And then don't shift the game. Stay diligent about it, right? Turn this boredom into diligence, putting your head down to the grindstone, right? Because that's really what this is. It's in reverse. And then we get bored and we want to shift our focus to something when really we should be going even harder on that one thing. Going back to square one with our creativity instead of adding something new or changing. course.
So what I got from this whole thing is Dan needs my creativity and I need his diligence and consistency.
Yeah. Maybe that's why you guys are a perfect match, right?
That's probably true.
She's always been the creative, and I've been the one going, that's not a good idea right now.
But you make the things happen a lot of times because
I've learned, let's put a pin in that one. Let's put that over here.
Right,
We'll revisit that
Yeah,
later.
he'll say that to me and I'll be like, oh.
I've got a great
know.
idea.
I get that.
Okay.
How long is this one gonna last? That's the line I get. How long is this one gonna last?
Oh yeah.
Like, shut up.
Yeah.
Yes.
As long as I wanted to, okay?
He does not say that to me because I would not like that being said.
I've
I'll
learned
be
not
like,
to say that to her.
don't say that. We all
I
know it. We think it, but we don't say it. Please.
Yeah, right. Don't say it out loud, okay?
Exactly.
And I think I do business endeavor once a month too.
Yeah.
And he's like,
oh,
yeah, okay, yeah.
That's it? Just once a month?
Oh, shut it.
Yeah,
Okay.
We get one once a day.
Dan, stop it.
The other one's inside, okay? Just come out with the important ones once a month.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we have so many business ideas coming out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Anyways.
Thank
you, Alicia. This was so good. It's always so good having you on.
Yes, it is.
We learned so much about ourselves, too.
Yeah. And each other.
Well, and I feel like everything that I said, do you not already know about yourself, though?
We do.
It's more like,
yeah,
I know that. Yeah, I know that. Right.
It resonates.
And that's really,
yes,
exactly. Yeah. And it's, a reading should never be, in 6 months, you're going to find the love of your life. You know, this is just not, I know the way that TV portrays it. And, we're not conjuring up spirits and the devils and whatever else, concoctions.
Exactly. It's kind of making you face what you already know, because sometimes we just don't want to face it. We're just like, we know it's there, but we don't look at it, and then when it's just up in your face and you're like, yeah, I do struggle with boredom, and why does that make me uncomfortable? And having to actually think about it, look at it. So, well,
and we're looking for other reasons other than those reasons that we already are the reason.
Yeah.
We're looking for other things to fix it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll say tarot is having a reading from you is like therapy. It really is. Because
isn't it
in
fun?
a therapy session, you're trying to figure it out. What's going on with you. The therapist is guiding you to understand yourself. And that's really, it's a form of therapy.
It's kind of, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't replace therapy with tarot, folks.
No. But
folks at home, okay?
It can be an addition.
It is a nice addition. And what I like to is I like to pose things as, think about it. Think about why you're uncomfortable. I'm not going to tell you why you're uncomfortable.
Exactly.
I don't know. Yeah. Why are you? And I'm asking you, why are you uncomfortable?
Yes, exactly.
Now, and you get to go home and figure out why you're uncomfortable with that, right?
Yep.
That should be a lot of takeaways I have a lot of things to think about now.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
it does. So it was wonderful to hear and all that.
Really fun.
And you were worried about getting 45 minutes of content.
Oh, man,
we're on 2 hours right now. So.
Of course, it's always that way.
Let me talk and I can really take a day.
That's our problem too.
Yeah.
So
it was a good combo though.
It's less than the 3 hours we did on Halloween. So that's, we're getting
right.
There.
That's true.
We're honing it in.
Well, we have to cover a whole year.
Yeah.
That's right. True. That's true. Is there anything you want to promote before we let you go tonight that you're doing or have come up?
I got a new live schedule for the month. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 4 to 6 Pacific Standard Time that I'll be doing live readings. I do a $15 tarot reading on live if you want to catch me on TikTok on one of those times.
Nice.
It's kind of a brief...
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 to 6 Pacific Time.
Yep.
All right.
You got it.
$15.
And then you can always book a private appointment with me through my link in my bio on TikTok. I also am on Instagram now, Blue Sky, YouTube, I'm not going to put out my February schedule on TikTok just quite yet. We'll see if that might be going to Instagram. I don't know. So
okay,
that'll be my alternative live space. Will be YouTube or Instagram. We'll see where we're at next month.
Okay.
So,
and you're Labradorite Queen on all them platforms?
Two.
No.
Yeah. Actually, I'm changing over a little bit, changing some branding over a little bit. So it's going to be Psychic Medium Alicia.
Yeah. So what's it going to be? Right? Say it again.
Psychic Medium Alicia.
Okay. Perfect.
Psychic Medium Alicia.
Excellent. That'll help find you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, right. I know.
All right. Well, then for us, just go to our website, danandcan.com. It's got everything that's associated with us, all our links, all our access to Candy's hypnotherapy, shops, and all that good stuff. And also, more important, go up and give us 5 stars. We appreciate that. That's always important to do. It helps us in the algorithm. And if you do that, then you'll have positive energy come your way. If you go 4 stars or less, Alicia is going to throw down some chicken bones and put a curse on you. And you'll have negative energy for 2025. So, yes, it's a veiled threat for a 5-star. Go up and give it to us. Other than that, I think that's all we have for tonight. So thank you again, Alicia. It was a wonderful experience again. And we'll have to have you on soon again.
I'm sure sometime in 2025 we'll have her on again.
You're Teresa
like Alicia. We need to know the answers to our problems.
You're the Trisha Caputo or what's her name? Yeah, of Kathy and Killer. What is it?
Well, I don't know what you're saying. Are you
all the morning talk shows where they have their mediums come on and their clairvoyance and all that?
Were you trying to say Kathy Lee and Regis?
I was. I'm old. Okay, get over it.
Whoa.
Okay, notice there's a lot of gray right here. Okay, that's Kathy Lee and Regis right there.
The original.
Ricky Lake.
Ricky Lake.
That was what I was trying to think of.
All right. I think it's time to get off.
Montel Jordan and Sylvia Brown, Dan. It's Montel Jordan.
There we are.
Yes.
There we are.
Yes.
Sylvia Brown, yes. Whatever. It's been a pleasure.
Yes.
Everyone have a good one. We'll talk to you all later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.